done by Opera House was 2010.
20, when was the first master class?
2008.
2008.
2008
2006 pa yata.
with Cherie Hill.
No,
the first was
Baby Barreto.
Baby Barreto.
I get it. Okay, so the first time Master Class was done locally was with Baby Barreto, and then there was a version with Cherie Hill.
Yes.
That was after. There was a Jay Glorioso also did it before Sherry Hill.
Yeah.
Okay, so it has had a long line. I was wondering, because there was a conversation, I remember around that time, if the actor playing Maria Callas is required to be an opera singer. Because at that time, Cherie obviously was not, and yet there were good reviews. So I was wondering, but now you have a Menchu, the woman who could do no wrong. So,
She has so many hidden talents. We're still waiting for her operatic debut.
I sing one line.
so the actor playing Maria Callas is not required to be an opera singer at all. Am I correct?
No, yes, you're correct, because, well, when she did the actual master class, she was still singing, I believe. But the way Terrence McNally wrote it is she was already wala ng boses. She had no more voice. She had lost her voice by then.
Oh,
And that's part of the dialogue.
that's part of the
Later on,
story.
yes.
Oh.
So she does attempt at one point, and then she gives up because it's no longer the voice that was.
Okay.
So it is the only ones who've done it who were singers were Baby,
Jay.
me, and then abroad. Neither of them could sing except for Patti LuPone and Tim Daly.
Oh, I
Zoe
see.
Cladwell, the original, could not sing.
Yeah.
So
It's not required.
It's not required.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't written for an opera singer.
Okay. But the three students, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Have to. They have to.
Students. So just a follow-up question, that's enough. What was more of your priority? I guess this is for Jaime. For casting, what was more of your priority? The ability to sing?
Oh yeah.
Or the acting?
For the students, it obviously they had to sing, and they had to sing those particular arias. So when we auditioned them with the aria, because it's very specific what arias they sing in the opera. Both arias that our sopranos sing were roles that Callas did perform, and so there were arias that she knew backwards and forwards. Well, obviously, he's not singing a soprano aria, but who knows? But he does sing an aria in which she's familiar because he sings it from Tosca, and one of Callas's great roles was Tosca.
Thank you, that's all for me.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, who's next? Yes, Dennis.
Yeah, I also heard that Faye Dunaway did the role.
Yes.
And she was even fired by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And she couldn't sing in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Do you consider, like, Faye Dunaway is known as a diva? Would you consider Maria Callas as a tragic victim or a fiery, strong woman? How are you going to play her? Because her love life is
Interesting question.
Interesting
She
question.
died very young.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
died. She was
50.
53.
Yes.
So the master class she conducted was 1971-72. She died in 77. So she was very young of a heart attack. They found her dead in her very sad life, and you will hear that in the.
But
the
in
storytelling.
connection to your question, are they mutually exclusive?
Ah,
Couldn't she be a very
tragic.
strong woman and yet be a tragic figure?
She was quite tragic. I mean,
Yeah,
her
what-
life
what-
was very sad.
That,
It's very
that she
sad.
was a strong woman? Yes. That shit happened? Yes.
Yeah, I think she was a combination of both.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis.
Yes, Jessica. On that side.
Yes.
Okay, I won't use mic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
I'm Jessica from Manila Bulletin, and congratulations. I write for Lifestyle, specifically the youth section. You've mentioned the importance of art and then the youth exposure to the theater and art world. So how does the masterclass, how does the masterclass would really resonate with today's youth, the storyline of it?
Well, first of all, it is you get a behind the scenes perspective, and you know everyone now loves behind the scenes things, and it was written that way. Like I said before, it's not a documentary. Terrence McNally had his own agenda, and we were just having this discussion that Terrence McNally watched a masterclass, but not by Callas. He saw it by another singer, and he thought, what an interesting idea. And then he combined the idea of the master class with a person who was, the epitome of opera at that time, which was Callas. Of course, you do see that Callas is of an older generation. Please forgive me. And she is teaching the younger generation. That for me is kind of self-explanatory. And hopefully when they realize the amount of work that goes into it, what is demanded, and through, of course, her monologues, what she sacrificed, it adds to the value of what art has. I think one of the reasons where art is sometimes glossed over is not because of lack of exposure to it, because there is an awful lot of people who are trying to do this, but a lot of the people do not realize the value of it. And I think that's one of the things that this play shows. It's literally blood and guts that an artist gives. O dato tutto a te. I gave everything to you. And that's Maria Callas's line when she tries to verbalize what it's like to share her art, and there are no better words.
Yeah. To add to that also, what Maria Callas brought to the opera was drama, and this is said in all the interviews. In fact, Severed even said there's a joke in the opera world where it's divided between BC and AC, before Callas and after Callas. So she brought drama, so she brought acting to opera, and I think that's partially why she lost her voice, because she was not just singing, she was acting, and that's what she's so hard on her students, is because they're just singing. And she keeps saying, what are you singing about? Which is actually anybody, because they were saying, but Menchu, it's opera. I go, no, anybody, an artist will connect, because it is about passion. It is about, your craft. It is about being the best you can be in your particular craft. So she brings that to the table. And of course, she's misunderstood because, she's very hard on the students. I mean, she really puts them down. And, but she brought drama. And like I remember in my research, she has a line where she says, how can I have rivals when nobody can do what I can do? No. And I realized later on in my research, she did something no opera singer would do. She sang Traviata today and Tosca tomorrow, wow, which nobody does, because you never sing, one day after the other. And now I realize what she means, because she said, if you find a singer who can do that, then they can be a rival. So, so she was like that. And I think that's, what caused her voice to also go. She was singing material she shouldn't be singing.
I'd also like to add that a lot of the more successful opera singers in present day are standing on her shoulders, or are standing on the shoulders of people who stood on their shoulders, on her shoulders rather. So she does have this effect. As we have an opera singer here, let us turn to him for his his opinion, for his thoughts.
About the legacy of Callas, what she brought.
To young people.
Hello.
Project ka na lang.
Hello.
Wow, Really? Oh, singer.
Modulation.
Modulation.
Saving my voice. Hello, Maria Callas. Well, as a person who studied classical singing at the University of the Philippines, legend for us is Maria Callas. And again, more than the voice, it's how she used that voice to do opera. And Tita Menchu is correct that when she sang, there was acting involved. So she would deliberately cause her voice to crack because the scene requires it. For example, the last note of Violetta in La Traviata, it was a B flat. She will sing the B flat, it's a high B flat, but with a crack because she's dying. For her, it is more important for the people to feel that the character is dying more than, oh, I can hit a beautiful B flat here with a pianissimo. So I think for me also as an artist, because I'm also in musical theater, and it affected me that there's more than just the voice. You have to give the role, you have to let the people see the role more than just the voice, more than singing. And regarding the art, kanina, natanong for the youth, I think art should not be exclusive just for the older people, or for the educated ones. Kasi sinasabi nila, di ba, art is for the educated ones. No, I think art is for everybody. We should encourage art even to the young people because pag may art yung bata, marirealize natin na mas malalim siyang tao even if they are young. Mas may depth and mas may humanity. And funny because in the beginning, in the Greek pantheon, art is part of their subject. Hindi pwedeng mawala yung art. That's why it's art and humanities. So if there's humanity, if there's art. And at the end of the day, kung magkaroon man ng mga wars and whatever, matitira yung art. And that's why Maria Callas' role, Tosca, Visidarte, Visi d'amore. I live for the art. I live for love. Tenors are not that dumb.
That's the antithesis of a line that you have in the play.
Yeah, that's an actual line. People think we're dumb. I don't know why that is.
No, but just to put a cap on art, and this is a personal opinion, I always thought that art was an image of what mankind could be. It's like musically or painting, literature, drama, theater.
And gusto ko lang pong i-add, the first time I met Tito Jaime, meron siyang question sa akin, up to now, hindi ko pa rin nasasagot. Hanging question, it's 5 years hanging. Sabi niya, Herman, how do you think that
Why do you
think, no, how will you make the youth appreciate opera?
I asked you that.
Yes, of course.
Even I know this story.
Up to now, wala pa rin akong answer, but ang answer ko nga is, hindi dapat siya exclusive. It can be appreciated by all ages. Siyempre, depende sa topic, but the music, the literature can be appreciated by everybody.
Actually, the real thing is that how can you convince people to come, the youth to come to the opera, and you cannot say to hear me sing.
Correct.
Case to hear the opinion of next
Alex.
This is regarding the impact of Maria Callas and the education of the youth, right?
Yes.
Okay, so one of my favorite Maria Callas quotes, and I'm not sure if I'm quoting it exactly, but an opera begins long before the curtain rises, and it ends long after we go home from the theater. And it lives forever in my heart. So in that vein, Maria Callas really lived all the roles she sang, and she lived a full life, even with all the pain included in it. She really allowed herself to get vulnerable and as an artist, I know how daunting that can be because on top of all the technical demands, we also have to wear our hearts on our sleeves in the theater, but that's precisely what she demands of my character in the play and of any singer, to allow themselves to be vulnerable and to just communicate that universal human experience. I mean, that's what opera is. That's what all art forms are. No matter what the medium, whether it be music or dance or visual arts, we all laugh and cry and get angry at the same things. And even if the details may vary, the feelings are the same. And this may seem like a very profound experience that could only come from the older generation who has lived through a lot, but you'll be surprised how intuitive the youth is when it comes to feelings. So a little bit about my process. Sometimes when I have performances coming up, I would do a test run in my alma mater. Sometimes a class of elementary school children, or middle school, or high school, and they are very receptive to it. For almost all of them, it is their introduction to classical music, and yet when I look out, I see their reactions immediately. They are so moved, and even by their questions, I could tell that they are so deeply engaged in the music. So I, like what everyone has said here, I don't think that art and opera are such foreign or hard to understand means of communication if we just open our minds and our hearts. No matter how old we are, I think there's something to appreciate.
Thank you. Rui?
Yeah. Okay. Really not good at question and answer, but I try my best. So, as an accompanist, I'm just an observer. I just react on what they're doing. But what interests me is how Miss Menchu or how Maria Callas deal with the student and deal with the accompanist. That's very interesting because it's a different work. Okay, what we do is different from what we prepare. Okay, so what interests me is it's the same in the actual master class. When we accompany a student, like Alex, example, will run the whole aria, will run the passages, and that's it. And the actual master class, we run the aria, and then the teacher will say, "Oh, that's wrong. Do this," and that's it. That's the actual master class usually. But what interests me in this play is how she deal with the students and how she deal with me. Okay, I should notice. Okay, I also have another line on Act 2 where we're so close. We're quite close now in Act 2. But really, the role of the student and the teacher is the soul, and we're the skeleton. You know? It's the soul that they're producing, and we support them. Because we produce harmony, we produce the big chords, and they're doing the high B flat or F or whatever. Notice that. No? And it's really a satisfying moment for us. Okay? Especially, I really love, I'm not biased, but I really love the B flat of the
Director.
not the director, but with Arman. When you watch the show, you see that. The B flat, it's the feeling.
Naku, pressure.
When I hit the big chord with Arman, you know, I feel that I really sing the B flat as well. It's the feeling. It's the communication between the accompanists. Surprisingly, we call that collaborating artists. It's not just an accompanist.
Yeah.
In recitals, we say our collaborating artist is Louis Angelo, not as an accompanist.
Yes.
It's a big word. It's a different word. So that's my POV as an accompanist. Thank you.
Collaborating artist.
Okay, Miss Tax.
Tax.
Nako.
Pressure. Can you sing the B flat?
Can you accompany it?
Sorry, it's a flat flap.
So it's like,
Speaking of older generation, I think I come from there. Okay. I grew up watching opera. I mean, my first exposure was Amal and the Night Visitors. I was 10 years old. when I was
Wow.
because my grandparents, my parents, they're all into music. But this is what I noticed, well, from what Arman said. Arman, I've seen him in musical theater and his voice is operatic, but he acts. But in the operas that I have seen, the legit operas I've seen, they sing, but they don't act. The feeling is in their voices, but not in the physical, you know. So there is a separation there between the actual acting and the singing acting. So do you think that this legacy of Maria Callas has gone over, like opera singers who sing in operas really act now? And have you seen?
Yeah.
You would be the best.
You know, it's an artistic choice, actually, to answer your questions. Many singers, there are singers who believe that you need to act on top of the music, and it works. There are singers who believe that you act through the music, and they make it work. There are also singers who believe the acting is already in the music and I don't have to do anything. That would actually also depends on the opera. So if you've got verismo, which is a term where it's very realistic and violent and all that, that's one kind of acting they would do. When you have the bel canto, where it is literally beautiful singing, and you cannot sacrifice the note for the acting. That's one of the things that made Callas so special, because not only did she do verismo, she did bel canto, she did Bellini, she did Donizetti, and that stuff is harder to act on because you cannot sacrifice both. Callas worked at it. It is a school. You know, it's like with acting, the method, the non-method, the American way, the British way, the Adler, but the Russian way. So there are different schools, and most likely there are different teachers who will teach different methods.
I think that's also what separates the good opera singers from the not so good opera singers.
Well, again, it would depend on what
Yeah.
they're looking,
Yeah.
what they're looking for. In a lot of opera houses, the critics before I know of modern stuff, but the critics would sit up high where you cannot see the stage, and they have desks with lights where they can read the scores. So you know what certain critics look for if they're actually reading the score and not watching the
You can
performance.
actually close your eyes when you're watching an opera.
Yeah.
And you can feel the emotion
Yes.
through their voice.
Yes.
But when it's on stage and you have, like acting, I mean, you can fall asleep and you'll still get the gist,
Well,
right?
again, we have to remember that opera was invented a long,
Yes.
long time ago. Opera has now changed so much. There's after Callas, and then the appearance of TV. Because before, you saw the opera people from far off. So of course they were going to do semaphore acting like we sometimes do on stage, because you need to communicate. And opera houses are big, so you need to communicate to the gods, so to speak. Then TV appeared, and suddenly you couldn't have overweight sopranos anymore. They had to look like Vogue models. They had to sound really good, but look like Vogue. Now, this is because, now when they choose the soprano for the telecast, she's got to be good looking, or else really sing like a god. These things have, and because of the TV, audiences suddenly start demanding more. No, we've seen them on TV. They should act that small now, and they should. And that's what we're exposed to, and that's what we want. Mind you, when they do the TV telecasts, they're all mic. But when you watch it in the theater, they're all unmiked. So it
doesn't really, that legacy that she wanted to pass on hasn't really infiltrated the opera stage where acting and singing are seen.
I think that's what everyone tries to do. Everyone tries to do that. But I think everyone has different concepts of how to find the balance.
Then they should watch Armand.
Yeah. Armand is now going to announce his new opera. Yes, I agree with you. We should all watch Armand. We just need funding for the opera that he will do. So there is a hat outside.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Ricky. And talking about Armand. Have you, which master class did you do that influenced or from where you pulled from in this role? And maybe for the others as well.
Actually, it's funny because I just did a real master class last Sunday.
Saturday.
Last Sunday.
Was Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, Sunday.
Sunday. Saturday. Sorry.
I knew it was Saturday.
Derek was there, and then funny because there are a lot of similarities between, actually, synonymous talaga yung tenor with who I am here in the play. Kasi sobrang daming lines that are it's somewhat personal also, especially the confrontation with Maria Callas, that I should be more than just a voice. It's very personal for me because it's also my journey as an artist. Before, it's known in the industry that I always cared for my voice. But as I matured in this industry also, I think there are more realizations now that you are more than just your instrument. You are a bigger person, and you should serve the art more than yourself. So yun yung malaking realization. And it's part of the masterclass. It's part of our scene. That's why it's really personal for me. That's why merong isang rehearsal na even LA said na akala niya magbe-breakdown na ako. Because it really struck a nerve.
Yeah.
Not dumb. So yeah, it's very nice kasi sometimes us opera singers, not really an opera singer, I'm a classical singer. Sometimes we are so focused on how to sing that we forget that we are delivering a message. Sometimes we forget na, there are lyrics pala. It's kasi minsan pagka kumakanta na kami, kailangan maganda, kailangan bongga yung high note, kailangan maganda yung line, kailangan nasa-sacrifice na yung meaning and the lyrics. Now, I try as much as I can to fuse them together so that, it sounds good, but at the same time, you feel the meaning and you feel what I'm feeling as well. And not just, ang ganda ng boses. It's sana, ang ganda ng boses, and I felt it. So, yun for me.
We'll watch it talaga.
Confessions na yata.
So maybe,
They'll have a scoreboard.
yes, Belle.
I think
I'm sorry.
after na lang.
Okay, Leo, 1 second. Si Belle muna.
Okay.
Thank you.
Value
Okay,
first.
My question po is, in today's creative
in today's creative landscape po, many artists are no longer just performers on stage or in traditional spaces because some of them are also content creators who constantly share their work and even their process on social media platforms. And because of this, there's often a dual expectation not to stay true to the integrity of the craft while also creating content that connects with or appeals to a wider audience in real time. And in relation po to the play which centers on the idea of artistic discipline, excellence, and the pursuit of mastery through rigorous critique and training. How does this play po help us understand or somehow separate the idea of performance for art and performance for audience, and or that does this play suggest that these two modes are actually separable, or does it expose them as permanently entangled in the making of mastery itself?
I'm sorry, performance for
The art.
audience and performance for art.
Yes.
The difference.
Yes. Well, how does the play separate it, or how does it use them together? Oh.
No, I just think those are like 17 questions.
So one is people besides performing, you say there's also a social media platform where people expose their process. I think to answer that question first, I think it's very interesting. I myself look at that. If I know that, let's say I'm doing a role and this person has played the role, I'm interested to see the process, especially when it comes to a musical, of how they prepare, more of how do they take care of their voice, what is their whole process before they get to the theater. So it's very interesting, and I think it helps a lot that we see the process, because everybody's process is different. No one process is the same. It depends on what works for you. Now, in terms of art being separate from an audience, is that the question? Performing art and for an audience, is there a difference? Is that the question?
Yes, or does this play suggest that these two modes are permanently entangled, or is it okay to separate the
Oh, you
idea
mean
of-
this play masterclass?
Yes.
Oh, they're definitely united, because Maria Callas does talk about art is beautiful, and we should, so she talks about art. She talks about art and beauty. And when you do art and beauty, it's always for an audience, whether you're a painter, whether you're a musical theater actor, whether you're an opera singer, whether you're a cook, everything is for the audience. So if you're a cook, you put the best ingredients. You don't compromise, you have a good outcome. You compromise with your ingredients, then your outcome isn't good. In the same way, Maria Callas says, never compromise. You give it 100%. She says that a career in the theater is total concentration, 100% detail. She says that. So for me, you don't naman perform in a closed door. There's always someone to appreciate what you do. But you have to give your audience what they deserve. Do not compromise. Do not say, oh, I won't give today kasi wala namang tao masyado. I mean, I've heard people say that. I won't mention who. But I've heard people say that. No, whether it's one person or 1,000, that one person made an effort to come and watch. You give that one person what they deserve.
Let's talk about social media. For me, as an accompanist, I sing as well in opera. Sing as them, but
But that's another story.
It's another story. It's the hard work. Okay, I'll just be honest. The technique, the hard work, the terms, passaggio, you have to open this and that, which you will not see in social media. Okay, it's very saddening for me. The comment sections. It's like it's easy. I can do this, I can do that, but
Or very critical
yes,
of the person.
but hindi nila nakikita the scene behind this. Okay, the 8 hours of learning the arts every day, the taking care of yourselves when you're performing tomorrow and everything. This, I think, social media nowadays, in terms of arts, especially in opera, it's very surface. Okay, I have few friends, kasi I entered opera just last year. I I just met Derek last year. Okay, and it's just last year. And opera is a different world. In social media nowadays, when I browse TikTok, it's very saddening kasi surface level lang alam nila. That's why when I read the script, the Maria Callas, it's surprisingly she didn't talk about the technique. It's the interpretations. Kasi technique responsible is the teachers or professors. Ang daming process na hindi na-realize sa mga tao sa social media nowadays. And for me, that's very sad. As a music student, and Arman as well as Alex as well. We're all music students. Yeah, yun yung pinakamalungkot ako. It's the surface level.
Actually, it's interesting. The very first time I don't do TikTok at all. But years and years and a million years ago, when I first attended a class where an opera singer was singing, and the most amazing discovery for me at that time was, oh my God, they perspire. And I had no, they always make it look easy. And this is what isang tamales. This is maestra. And you're there and you realize, oh my God, they are working so hard. I'll never forget the tenor was perspiring. And I did not imagine it. Because they don't perspire on TV. But to see them in real life working at it.
Yeah, but that's also for musical theater. I can't claim to be an expert in opera, but in musical theater, you see the final musical. You don't know what went through, the heartache, the crying, the frustration, the working it, because you don't see the process. So sometimes you don't really see the process. So sometimes I understand what you're saying when people will post, oh, so and so was horrible, blah blah blah, and I'm like, kawawa naman, because you don't know what this person went through, and maybe you caught them at a bad performance. We're human. We're not perfect every single performance, and that's the challenge of live theater. But everybody works very hard. At least they try to give their best. So it's really social media can be, sometimes. Brutal, yeah.
Ako with regards to social media, I think as an artist, and also may presence naman sa social media, right? Minamanage ko lang yung pinapakita ko sa audience because I think at the end of the day, there has to be a mystery for the artist. Because if nakita mo na lahat yung process, ano ba yung aabangan mo sa show, right? And it's also, I think, as an artist also, you have to, I'm not saying that keep it to yourself, you have to have that sense of mystery na paano mo siya ginagawa so that merong sense of wonderment and amazement and sense of parang maka-question paano na ginagawa yun? I want to be like that, so I'll work hard. Because if you show them everything, wala na, na-spoil na, right? Like, ngayon, hindi ako kumanta. Kasi spoil na, di ba? Tapos, they're just making a joke.
The reality is, we didn't ask him.
Yeah, they didn't ask me kung ano yung song din ako.
Surprise you, be flat.
Okay, Leo. Good afternoon. My question is for Menchu. So you touched this one earlier on that in this play, Callas is at a crossroad. Her voice is fading, but her knowledge is at its peak. So as an artist who has flourished over the decades, what parts of her struggle? what part of his struggle with the deteriorating instrument resonates with you?
I'm sorry, what?
What part of her struggle with the deteriorating instrument resonates with you?
Okay. It's funny because I also do master classes, and I was just telling Jaime, my God, I find myself saying, exactly like Maria Callas. Well, what resonates more with me about Callas is the idea of how she really goes into her text and really, really works it, the detail that she gets into. That I resonate with her because I'm like that. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very dedicated. So when I accept the role, that's it, 100%. So I dedicate myself completely, and I don't stop until I know I've done everything I could, and I don't stop growing until that show closes. So that, in that sense, I don't want to say I'm like Callas, because Callas is la divina, she's a god, but I like to think that I am along her idea of what is being true to your craft. And so when I teach, I also teach a lot of text analysis, because I think that's what we lack here. Sometimes they just sing a beautiful song, and I always tell them it's more than a voice. Your song is your dialogue, that is your inner monologue. What are you talking about? What are you saying? And we break it down, which is what we do here in this play. Of course, as I get older, I'm already in my 60s, the voice is not what it used to be. Nobody's voice as you get older is what it used to be. So in that I can accept. There are already roles that maybe I don't think I can sing anymore at this point. So I resonate with that. But I did not get to the point like Callas, who she really lost everything when Aristotle Onassis dumped her for Jacqueline Kennedy. That totally broke her heart. And so after Ali died, to know that he was already married to Jackie O, and he kept going back to her, and she kept hoping that he would come back to her, which never happened. And then when he died, well, she lost all of her living, and she ended up a recluse. She didn't want to see people. She was taking sleeping pills. She just didn't want to live anymore. So thankfully, I'm not like that. So I would like to think I'm not like that. But in everything else, I would love to be close to what she was and achieve what she was. Not in the opera world, because I can't do that, but in other things. That's why I also like directing. I like teaching. I like passing on. Like Jaime and I always like to pass on what we've learned. We learned all by experience. I never studied. It was all thrown on. We were thrown on stage, and parang sa buhay mo, you sink or swim. We would get screamed at a lot, and that's how we learned. Yeah, when I started, I didn't even know what stage right was from stage left. I was 15 years old, and Menchu, stage right! What's what? Downstage, I had no idea. So it was baptism of fire for us. Kami nila, Audie, Monique, Leah, we learned by making mistakes on stage. And there were a lot of crying in those days, a lot of crying, but we learned. We learned.
Ah, the good days.
I hope I answered it.
Mango?
Okay.
Wango?
Wango.
I don't recognize
After
you.
him.
Hello,
I have a question for the students. I know there are 3 in the show, right? Pero si Arman pangalan niya to. But first of all, thank you for that wonderful excerpt kanina. It was such a treat, and really looking forward to the final version. It was interesting watching Alex kanina acting on stage. So what was that like for you, and how was it acting in a straight play with Menchu, no less? Especially, how do you act terrified, especially that you are already seasoned performers and skilled singers? What was that like?
Thank you very much. And to she's a doctor.
She is a doctor by profession.
Yes, that's true. So this is actually my first straight play, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, for Direct Jaime's guidance in bringing out the various facets of Sophie's character, and for Miss Menchu. You know what? She's such a generous actress on stage, and it's just a blast bouncing off of her energy, even if I
scream at you.
Yes, even when I am terrified of her as Sophie. So the terror that I am drawing from is not from actually.
From Callas.
Yes. And I think we can all relate to Sophie, even if we did not necessarily go through the masterclass with a figure such as Callas. I mean, we all relate to the experience of wanting to please our teachers or our bosses. We all relate to blacking out even if we studied it the night before. I know I have many times in medical school. I also know that we can relate to the feeling of dealing with so much criticism at any given moment. So I think, like we've all talked about earlier, these are all universal experiences to draw through. Now, as for the singing, acting through song, I'd say that there are many ways to go about it, as one of you has mentioned earlier. I mean, there is a lot to draw from, even without personal experience, without necessarily having personal experience. There's a lot to draw from the music and the words. That is why Maria Callas harps on and on and on about using the words, because there's just so much that you could draw from, and that is the beauty of art. That is the beauty of opera. That is why audiences would go, because it's not to hear whoever it is singing on stage. It's to live through vicariously stories and experiences, even if you haven't necessarily experienced them yourself. There is a catharsis in that.
What is amazing is, I guess people tend to forget, because opera singers do make it sound easy, at least the good ones, is that they are singing in another language. They're not singing in the language, in the vernacular. And there is something to be said, although I personally am of the camp that believes that opera should be something vernacular as it was composed. But there is something to be said when the music and the artistry of the singer transcend the language they're singing in, and it then hits you like a ton of bricks, or it has the potential of hitting you like a ton of bricks. I'm sorry, there was an order? There's an order?
No.
Yes, we'll now give the microphone to
I'm gonna answer the.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my first time working with Tita Menchu also, and Tito Jaime. Tita Menchu, Tito Jaime. No, kasi
Maloka.
yeah, we've worked. Tita Menchu and I worked together sa mga events,
Yes.
but never in a musical or a play. Now in a straight play, and it was so easy coming in, like super. The first day, I thought it was just a reading, but it became a reading and blocking. Because we share that sense of responsibility to make the show as honest and as generous as possible. So it's sobrang easy. By second week, nag-drop script ako because Tita Menchu's eyes will just cue me for my next line. No, kasi it's all there. You just have to listen to her, you watch her, and then you'll remember what to answer. Because siyempre, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin yung next line mo kung hindi naman yun yung sinabi niya, right? So it's easy to drop books with her. I'm sure hindi siya madali mag-drop book because 90% of the show siya yun. But acting-wise, sobrang dali, sobrang generous Tita Menchu, and sobrang intense. We have this part, yung kino-confront na ako ni Maria Callas. It was so intense na, but at the same time, after that, we felt good. Because even if it's intense, it's coming from truth, so hindi siya mahirap hugutin. So it's easy. And with Tito Jaime naman, I'm so happy that he's directing this because he's such an opera nerd. So, opera geek. So alam niya yung pinagkasabi namin, alam niya where the opera is coming from, alam niya the background of the opera. So it's easy for him to translate also to me. Kasi, again, classical world, na-confuse niya yung classical world and the musical world. And then he's also very particular with emotions. That's why merong isang scene dito na, sabi niya, take your time. Okay lang may silence. Which is weird for a singer like me to have silence. Kasi diba, you just have to fill it with music, fill it with voice. And now he said, no, take your time. Enjoy the silence because that's what the scene needs. So, ang daming discovery when it comes to doing this show because it's a straight play and I can't hide behind the music and just my singing. It's so exposed. That's why sobrang thankful ako, Tita Menchu and Tito Jaime. sobrang thank you.
Well, you're very good also. I mean, I get a lot from you. I get a lot from you.
It's not bad. We'll keep him.
So I read the press kit, and it says that Terrence McNally wrote this play as an imagined account of what the. So because it's an imagined account of real people, at what point, like you decided, okay, we're going to play Maria Callas and these people as closely to the possible, or at what point where you said we can play with the characterization? At what point is it fiction in terms of approach of portraying the characters?
Oh, that's a very good question.
That's a very good question.
That's
Yes, the monologues.
a
The end of Act 1 and 2, when she goes into her head.
yeah.
I think that's.
But can we? We'll share the answer. But the start is. This is not really Maria Callas. This is Terrence McNally's idea of Maria Callas. It's it's like the Bible, right? It's everyone's idea of who Christ was and all that. There are no photographs in the Bible. So it's that I don't think we're really tied. Like I said in the beginning, I said it's not a documentary. It's not, and there are recordings of Maria Callas's master classes, and you see, oh, she did say this line. Oh, she did say this line. But Terrence McNally mixes them all up. He sees different meanings in the lines, as we also do. I mean, Menchu and I have many, many discussions where this line can mean this, but it can also mean that. There's an alternative. What do you want to do? What feels comfortable for you?
Yeah.
And Menchu will tell me, well, this feels comfortable. Well, no, actually, our joke is we'll try both. And then sometimes we can't decide which line to choose. So I go, okay, matinee and evening. and you know, that's the beauty of. It's one of the things that I believe in, that theater is never about shoulds. It's about a whole lot of coulds.
Yes.
And some coulds are more efficient than other coulds, and the idea is to look for the most efficient could to convey what needs to be conveyed. But the moment someone says, oh, it should have been like this, I don't listen, because it's never about shoulds. Or else we'll have the same Hamlet that Shakespeare had in 16 whatever. Sorry.
In terms of that, in terms of the writing style, I would think, like he said, a lot of it is taken from the actual files of the master class with additional bits that I think may not have been there, or she may not have behaved that way, because she has real tantrums in this play. I don't think she had those tantrums in the actual, but it's really her wanting. But the end of Act 1 and the end of Act 2, we go into her head, and she hears herself. There's a recording of Callas, and she hears herself, and she goes into her head, and she talks about her past. She talks about how Ari treated her. She talks about her difficulties in life, which technically, technically the audience does not hear or see, because this is in her head. And then she does that also in Act 2, and it's the Lady Macbeth, because these are roles she's played. So when she finally allows this poor soprano that she's been berating from the get-go, it goes into her head, and it's a recording of Callas you hear, and she goes into her head, and she recalls everything that's set to the music of her scene. So she remembers the great night. She remembers how it was standing in the wings and waiting to come in, and her debut at La Scala. And so I guess in terms of writing, that's where Terrence made it kind of artistic.
Very, very theatrical.
Very theatrical.
Very, very theatrical.
But in terms of your performance, how much of it is you? How much of it is a character you create? And how much of the actual Callas that you use in your
Can I answer that? I think when Baby Barreto did it, there was a whole lot of Baby in it. When Jay Glorioso did it, there was a whole lot of Jay Glorioso. When Cherie Hill did it, there was an awful lot of Cherie. And I think when Menchu does it, the same as Patti Lupone and Faye Dunaway and Joe Caldwell, there's an awful lot of Menchu in it. which makes her performance, and I'm an admirer of your performance, absolutely individual. And I think it would be useless to try to emulate everyone emulating Callas, because what you are looking for is individuality of the performance. Wow.
No, I remember we had this discussion. We argue a lot. That's why it's the matinee in the evening. If we can, I'll do that in the matinee. I'll give you what you want in the evening. But we do argue a lot. We do collaborate a lot, and I do say, Jaime, that doesn't work for me. This is what works for me, and whatever. But I did tell him from the get-go that this will not be a copy, or I will not try to be Callas. I've watched her videos, I know how she acts, I know how she talks. There is an elegance about her if you see all her videos, and she does have a special way of talking. She has this kind of intonation, which I try to put in. But what I'm trying to do really is just get an essence of her and not try to copy her, because I could never copy her, and that would not be, it would not be for me to be very false to try to be the person. I mean, you can research as much as you want about the person, but the passion that goes into it, I think, is already me and how I feel about my craft, which is what I try to teach when I do teach or direct. I try to give that in. So yeah, it's basically that. I don't think I can ever be a Maria Callas.
Which basically is what the word interpretation means.
Thank you,
Okay,
Marco.
Miss Stephanie.
I don't have one question for Direct Jaime. There's a lot of talk about safe spaces in modern rehearsals. An audience might react to Callas' tough love as abuse. So if there's one question you want the audience to ask themselves during the curtain call, what would it be?
It's about.
I'm sorry.
She will be abusive.
Oh.
Callas.
Yeah, because there's a lot
There's a
of
lot.
talk about safe spaces in modern rehearsals, and an audience might react to Callas' tough love as abuse. So if there's one question you want the audience to be asking themselves during the curtain call, what would it be?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure I quite get the connection of what you said in the first half.
So
And
if
what
an audience would accuse this thing about being abusive, Callas about being abusive,
Yes.
what would you like to tell them about that?
Oh,
I think it's a question.
yeah, because what? Wow, sorry. That's an interesting question. When you talk about the problem, the reason I'm having a hard time answering the question is I'm old guard. I do not believe the theater is a safe space. The theater was never a safe space.
Bravo!
So that's why I have a hard time. And I think you went through a bit of
Yeah,
safe
we did.
spacing
We did
in
talk
your
about
other.
that.
And really old guard people like Ian McKellen, people like Judy Dench are also questioning all the warnings that they put up. In my experience of safe spaces, I work a lot with younger people. I've done plays. I've done Shakespeare plays where they're worried about what the audience. Oh my God, Othello kills Desdemona. How are they going to feel? Romeo and Juliet kill themselves. How are they going to feel? It's like, oh my God, should we put an announcement? That, and I wish I could be more understanding about it. Actually, yeah, but I still have to confront that reality that hasn't happened yet. God, it's a really good question and one that I see confront other people in the theater world. It's just I have never confronted it.
I think we belong, Jaime and I and the rest of us.
We came from Repertory Philippines.
So
There
it was
was
just do it!
unsafe
That's all we got.
space.
Just do it! All this scam, just do it!
Just do it. But what would it be? You wouldn't be able to do Oedipus Rex because he puts his eyes out or he sleeps with his mother. That's not safe. But the Greeks had been doing that for the longest time.
Kaya sinasabi rin na art should be triggering because
Yes, art is supposed to.
And make
art
you
is
think
supposed to
and
be
give you an
triggering.
opinion.
Now, I would say do your research, and if you really don't want to see it, don't see it. I personally do not watch Friday the 13th movies because I can't stand blood. But that's my choice. I must apologize. I don't know if I'm answering your question the way you wanted me to. But it is a good
It's
question.
your answer, so.
It's my answer. I'm sorry. Here, you answer it.
The young one.
I feel safe here.
I mean, asking about your rehearsal setting, your arrangement of, or if you're rehearsing in safe spaces, because today, in this age, it's kind of, there's a lot of talk
Yes.
about safe spaces.
And then you can be
then there's
cancelled.
mentorship, and then there's abuse. Because Marita Callas is very harsh. So I'm just wondering, what do you want the audience to take away? Yun na lang, para mas madali.
That
What do you want?
life is hard. That art is hard. In fact, you have a speech. Can you say a
The
bit of
ending?
it? No. Of course it's hard.
Of course it's hard. That's why it's so important we do it right. This is hard. Where am I? I thought I was somewhere where people were serious.
Yeah.
This is not a film studio.
Yeah. One of the things, and I'll just say it to close. But it's interesting that you say is theater a safe space because I really believe the theater is a place where the director, the actors, the writer say to the audience, trust us. We are going to take you to a different place. It may be dangerous, it may be fun, but you have the safety of your chair. Trust us. That's as far as I think I can go personally. Now, if it's an adult-only thing, it's for adults. If it's a kids thing, then we won't have decapitations.
The story is very beautiful. I've seen Angelina Jolie play Maria Callas in Pablo Larraín's film. So I'm really excited to see this. I'm just wondering about the audience, just to poll you about the audience.
No. It's a very, very good question, and one day I am going to face that question myself. No, I'm serious, and I will think, Allah, Jaime, you were warned. But thank you for that question.
Do you think a great artist should suffer like Maria Callas?
Yes.
To be great?
Yes. Because you take from that. I think if you have no experience in life, it's going to be bad. I mean, how do you portray love if you've never been in love? How do you portray loss if you've never experienced loss? So a person with so much laman can draw from all that laman, makes them a richer person.
But I don't think artists actually go around looking for suffering.
Yes. I'm just saying
Shit happens. What they do with it.
Yeah, then they have to really, because there are some people, if things happen to them, they can't perform. But, so there are different kinds of people. But just to add to that question, I think in terms of being safe, like when I direct, and I think Jaime is the same, is we always create a safe space in the rehearsal hall. So I'm never abusive when I'm directing. I'm very nurturing. I really guide them. Why not? Because we grew up being screamed at. But I will be cancelled.
We are survivors.
But we do not compromise on text. If this text requires you to do something, you've got to do it. You don't want to do it, I'll hire somebody else. So, in terms of that, kasi now ang dami namin kasi may intimacy ganito, may ganyan, may ganun mental health. And I'm like, okay, you know what you're getting into. You know the show, okay? You can't do it, don't do it. Go away, So You come here, ready to work. We're gonna do Romeo and Juliet, and you know you have to kill yourself. You don't give me this, oh, I cannot, that's mental health. Then don't do it. You know, but my thing is, that's where I don't compromise. I hate it when productions get sanitized, and ang linis. I'm like, what am I watching? Isn't this, why is it so clean? So it's all these little compromises. Again, maybe we're old school. Maybe we'll be cancelled after this. Please watch Masterclass.
Pandering into wokeness.
It's an exchange between the audience and the actor.
Yeah.
I mean, the audience.
Communion.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, okay, let's go to opera. When you listen and you understand, no matter what language it is, okay, and then the intonation of the singer, you'll cry. It's the same thing when you're acting. Like, one of my favorite arias is O mio bambino caro, okay, because she's so forlorn that her father won't let her marry this guy she loves, and she wants to throw herself in the river. And the last phrase there is Babo Pieta, and it means Father, have mercy, okay? And you just like kind of, gosh, you as the audience also feel that, what the actor or the singer.
That's the idea. Well, honestly, I think that's my duty as a director to make people feel, to make the audience feel. Whether they, if it comes down to, if you're gonna hate the show, please hate it passionately. Feel something. If you're gonna love the show, love it passionately. But if people who are like, then I failed them.
Yes, exactly.
Then I failed them.
Yeah, I'd rather hear, oh, I hated that show, why? Oh, I love that show, why? Because then there's an opinion.
Yes.
There is an opinion.
And
We
a
made you feel
feeling.
something, whether you hated it or you disagreed with it, that's fine. That's fine. But don't compromise the performances.
Okay, last two questions. Miss Leah.
Yeah, this is just fast, sorry. I was just curious, did anyone audition for their roles, or were their roles handed to them on a silver platter?
Actually, I auditioned as director.
That's the producer.
That's the producer.
Everybody auditioned. Yeah. And Marilyn on a short list, of course, because of the repertoire. Because not all classical singers would be able to sing those three arias. So we had a short list, and they all had to audition.
This is a lean cast. Very lean cast.
Yes. And it's so hard to do casting. That, they should be able to act. They should be able to speak and everything. So it's really a hard casting for Master
And
Jazz.
Doctora.
Yeah.
It was your first role, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oliver. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll direct this question to Jaime, so sorry I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to know what was the creative process like? Did you stick to the script as per the player's request, or was there creative freedom? So that's my question for you. And for Menchu, my question for you is, you kept mentioning about the word look earlier. So if you were to be biased about who do you think has the look when it comes to theater, I'd like for you to name top 3 on top of your head. So
That's hard. We never dress up in the theater. Nobody does.
So there.
So what was the creative process like? I will illustrate the creative process. It is actually it's a word that I really do use. I always say I love creating with you, and creating with. Someone asked me, is it easy creating with Menchu? And I said no, it's not easy creating with Menchu. It is a joy creating with Menchu.
And I love working.
And that, I think this is I think I did direct you in a couple more, but this is like 30 years apart. I directed her in a musical, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which I wrote 1,000,000 years ago. And then, Chitty, but you weren't the lead there, and Priscilla.
Priscilla.
Yeah, but so I can't say I actually
Yeah.
directed you. but not Lion. Yeah, you were the lead, and now this is like 35 years that separates, and it's still fun.
It's wonderful.
It's really, I wish all directors the joy of directing someone like Menchu. It's just amazing. And I told her the other day, and this is not like what do they call that? Admiration societies. It's not that. But she makes me good.
Only because I
She
don't
makes
do
me
it.
good.
It's okay, I was just 2 years old.
Alright.
Okay, Oliver. Sorry. Oliver, you're right. First, happy 25th POC. I have a long history with POC. Even before I was handling the PR, nung panahon analog pa, I have to go rounds in the offices of different media outlets just to handle press kits. It was just the infancy of internet before. And POC helped me also pursue my dream to attend my master's at NYU. So they really helped me raise the funds because because I chose Marshall Scholarship from Fulbright. Yun, that really truly helped me. Question for POC, 25th anniversary. Why don't you pick a full-scale opera for your 25th? And just choose a smaller depiction of opera through masterclass. And secondly, generally, I'm not so aware of this. How is the opera industry adapting to artificial intelligence?
So, yes, actually it's our 26th now because we are doing this 25th anniversary as a finale. And why master class? Because our problem really is the audience development program. I mean, bringing in audience to opera. So, as I've said, that's why I think it's the perfect finale because masterclass is like attending a masterclass 101 for opera. And we really need to tap the students, the new generation, to appreciate opera or classical music and the process. And also with teachers. That's why we have a share show program also for teachers that someone will adopt a teacher so the teacher will be able to watch this production because ang lalim ng problema ng Pilipinas when it comes to music because of the MAPE system. Before, we used to study music with 1 hour, arts 1 hour, but now with the MAPE, it's all isang klase na lang siya. That's why the ones who are teaching music are either PE teachers or math teachers. Yes. Yes. That's why ang lalim ng problema talaga. So, one parent approached me before and then sabi niya na, you know, my daughter is complaining because the teacher said that they're studying Mozart. And Mozart, yes, Mozart.
Mozart?
It's Mozart. It's Mozart. And then, so this teacher doesn't know anything about classical music or doesn't know because there's no material in teaching classical music. And to tell you, opera is already part of the curriculum of grade 9 and 10. And it's so funny that the example for opera is Carmen. And I said, bakit naman pok-pok ang ilalagay nito? So, may magic food naman ang lahat. So, because they don't know anything. So, nasaan na ako? So, yun na, they don't have the modules. So, it's really a big problem. Because, okay, let's listen to Mozart. And this one, this is a symphony from Mozart. Okay, listen. That's why classical music is equal to boring.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to promote it because of that first experience. And the first experience is very important. I have a story. My husband is a businessman who doesn't have any culture in his blood. We are a yin and yang. So during our, masama ba to? Nalagdag ko ba si Jen? Hindi. It's a true to life story. And it's an awakening for me. So during our honeymoon, I brought him to the Met in New York for him to be able to understand my world. But unfortunately, the only production that is shown there is Fidelio. So I brought him there and said, wow, ganda na experience ko. Ano ba kami orchestra? So the opera started. You know, Fidelio, it's such a boring opera. No, for a first timer. Plus, their production was minimalist. So what happened? Natulog yung asawa ko the whole time. So now, it's so hard to convince him to watch POC productions. Because to him, opera, it was boring. That's why we do a lot of out-of-the-box productions, small ones, to be able to make the audience feel that opera is fun. It's not a highbrow thing. It's not that fat lady sings on stage. Wala na yun. So I tell them that, it's like watching a musical. It's different now. It evolved. So, that's why Philippine Opera Company is now really focusing on the audience development program. We do a lot of outreach shows. We go to the public schools. We go to Tondo. And what I did, we had a partnership with CCT, and they told me that, Carla, pwede mo ba gawin talagang grassroots yung opera? Sabi ko, I love the challenge. So when we went to Tondo, and it's so funny that, I don't know how they study because there's a palengke on the first floor and there's a school on the second floor. Tapos mga teacher nagmamanicure, so sabi ko, wow, it's really, eto pala, Pilipinas talaga. So what I did was, I really made them part of the show. And ang unang ano sa kanila, sinong kapamilya? Sinong kapuso? At di syempre, naano na sila. So they were already engaged. And I changed the names of the characters of the opera to Enrique Gil, to Liza Soberano, so they will be able to understand and, maintindihan na. And then we also did an opera inside an opera. And then there was also we have to teach them the soprano, mezzo, tenor, blah, 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 blah. And the soprano, there are different kinds of soprano. There's a contralto soprano, there's a dramatic soprano. So there are different kinds. So there are music clips also. So at the end of the may games kami, parang sa showtime ba yun, na merong soprano, mezzo-soprano, tenor, baritone, and bass. They will listen to a clip and natatakbo sila kung saan. Siyempre, yung doon is the countertenor. Because countertenors, they sound like soprano. So doon sila mapupunta sa soprano. Pero siyempre, merong smart na pupunta talaga sa countertenor. So it was fun. It was just a 45-minute show, but the question and answers, it took us 1.5 hours. So there was an interest. It's the bottom line really is the government support. Because, can you say that again? Yes! So it's really the government support. Ang lalim ng problema talaga with MAPE. And
what is MAPE?
Music, art, physical education.
Yes.
Health.
Yes, all together.
MAPE, with an H. MAPE.
Yeah. We got a really small amount of grant from the NCCA. Small. And we did a workshop for the MAPE teachers. I was shocked kasi ang lalim ng nila, sako. Sabi, imagine, Carla, we have to teach Western music. We have to teach opera. Sabi ko, my God, that's already a master's degree. So how can you teach music? And plus, with public school teachers, they don't have instruments in their schools. So sabi na, how can we teach music without any instruments? So we had keyboards here, and my wanted them to be able to touch a keyboard. So I've been rallying to the government for grants for the MAME teachers. And also, I wanted, during 2015, I really wanted to close Philippine Opera Company already, to tell you frank. Because I had a hard time promoting opera. And sabi ng mommy ko, daddy ko, okay, take a leave and go to the US, muni-muni ka doon. So I was at the vicinity of LA Opera. And I asked the ticket sales, the box office, sabi ko, how are the ticket sales? And then he said, actually, it's not good. The singer was popular, but the material wasn't. The next day, I had a meeting with LA Opera, and I told them my predicament. I told them, I really want to close the company because I'm really having a hard time. And then they said, don't worry, Carla. You know, it's a worldwide problem with the opera companies. And the only opera company that's really making money is the Met. Kasi syempre lahat ng mga wheels, ng mga sa kanila, diba? So, what you have to do is reprogram your company and focus on the students. You do a lot of programs for the students. Why? Because they're gonna be your next ticket buyers. And every time we do workshops, even in the public schools, I always emphasize, you are our future. You are our future of ticket buyers. Because let's come on, tanggalin na natin yung sistema or discipline of complimentary tickets. Because we will not survive if we're just giving away tickets. So that's it's focus on the audience development program, because it's so easy to produce big opera productions, but the problem is meron bang manunood. And bottom line nun, are you fulfilled? Kung meron kang production, pero wala namang audience. I hope I answered your
Okay, for me, sagot ko lang sa AI is parang it changed the job industry now, di ba? Parang lahat may AI na. But if there's one thing that AI cannot replicate is the human voice. So, lalo na yung live human voice. So, nobody, I think, in this generation or the next would go to a theater and pay for an AI voice. So that's what opera is. The truth, the voice, the bare. Ako na pag-opera nga, no mixing allowed because there's no microphone. So it's the raw talent and the raw voice. So AI would never replace it. Thank you. Thank you, Oliver.
Okay, for Orly, one last.
Hello. Congratulations. Okay, well, my question goes practically for everyone. I came across one article on this material that it says so much about internal power struggles and external. Since we've already talked about the external power struggles between artists and creators, I'd like you to consider your own internal power struggles as artists and how did this material help you confront these internal power struggles? Again. So
the internal power struggle. I'm sorry, I'm
hungry.
My
understanding of the personal power struggle could be like, for artists, it's insecurity, confidence, authority, and I'm curious about your own internal power struggles in the creative process, and how did this material, after studying this, help you understand more your power struggles internally, or help you manage those internal power struggles?
Yeah, kanina we had this discussion kanina with Direk Jaime, sobrang timely ng question. Nung nag-masterclass kasi ako last Saturday, he said na parang
pinapound ako ng information, and that's the only way that I would do it. Ako, when I enter master classes, I would always enter with an open mind. Because otherwise, why would I go into the master class if I'm already decided na, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. So I always go to the master class with an open mind and to learn. And then also with the same thing with the musical. I go to the musical to learn. Because if I will insist that I know more than the director, than the music director, then there will be no collaboration, there will be no exchange of ideas, and then there's no growth. The important thing for me as an artist is to grow more as a person and as an artist, and that can only be done if you trust the process, you trust the people inside the group. And I think for me, that's the healthiest way to go by it. If you just keep an open mind and trust that everything will happen if you just trust the people inside the rehearsal venue. I think when you do works like these, wala namang gusto na masira ka or masira yung show.
Yeah.
So everybody wants to succeed. So I think that's healthy, and for me lang, keep an open mind because that's the only way. Otherwise, magka-clash lang talaga kayo and mag-aaway kayo, and I think you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'll add to that as well. One of the power struggles also is always about creative and the producing side. So budget versus I want this, cannot afford, will do this. So that's always the inner power struggle. We want to give the audience this fantastic set or this fantastic effect, but it's not in the budget. So it's always compromising and trying to figure it out, and you get into arguments and you compromise this, but you take away this. I'll never forget when I directed West Side Story. So Mio Infante presented me a set, beautiful set, because I wanted what do you call them, fire escapes. So he says, "This is your set, Menchu. This is what we can afford," and he takes out my pillars of fire escape. So it's always like that. And of course, you have to also understand that if that's the budget, what can we do? So you try to figure. So that is the power struggle. Also, it happened to Callas when she was fired from La Scala by Girengeli, who fired her because she was difficult, and they did, so again, for someone so brilliant to be fired from La Scala, totally broke her heart, and she was very angry about that, and so those are sometimes you're at the mercy of the producer. The producer, director doesn't like you, not cast you, even if you're bagay to the role. So those are my internal politics that happens, I think, in any, whether it's an office, whether it's a school, it happens everywhere.
As far as directors are concerned, and I'll only speak about myself, and as I've said, I see it as a creation. When I always talk to the actors, I love creating with you. I want to create with you. When I invite people to work with me, it's always I want to create with you. The thing is, we're willing to create with anyone. However, you do choose. That's what the audition process is about, and you choose people who you want to work with, or you want to start working with. And then you kind of gauge what has to happen. Sometimes you see the role in your head, you know precisely what needs to happen, and you choose that person because you know that person is going to give you everything you wanted. But there are times when someone auditions for you and they're absolutely the opposite of what you wanted. They don't give you the line readings you expect. They're totally different, but that's interesting too. And you see that as a challenge, and you go and you take them in, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. But usually with a give and take, with an open mind, all that, it's usually a happy ending. Usually. But I don't know, do these three things answer your question?
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah. I think I have to add something. On an company's view, I think in real life, as an accompanist and in a play, kasi in this, I have to act and I have to play the piano as well. It's not easy, especially the lead de la Victoria, the Macbeth. It's a demanding piece in piano. So how can I make the piano sing? The internal struggle for me in real life is poverty. I don't have any piano instrument, even now. So how can I practice? Every time I go to rehearsals, I always practice and they're like, what's you playing? What's the piece that you're playing? Even Menchu. So I don't have any keyboard. But it's the internal struggle that I conquered na a few years. If you are guided by the people you love, I think that's the most important for me kasi hindi na makikita yun. May isang line si Callas na I really love when they're both with the piano. Callas asked Alex, Sophie, hindi mo ko nakitang umiyak nung past ko. You didn't experience what I experienced. But for me, it's the guidance. And I think it's my answer also to sa safe space. The only safe space that you have is you alone. Okay? And those people that who cares for you, there's no safe space in theater. There's no safe space in music, especially in my part as an accompanist. How can I make my playing sing as what Arman did and as what Alex did? Okay, it's a different thing. There's no language in piano. I'm just playing notes. But how can I sing this part? Okay, I actually sing in the but you have to watch it. Yeah, I think the struggle for me is the power and the misguidance. Okay? Kasi walang mabait sa theater. Walang mabait sa music. We did 8 hours of rehearsals every day in conservatory. Before we graduate, we have a lot of problems, and that is financially. I agree with the government issue as well. Yeah, as long as you have someone who's there for you and guide you, I think there's no problem. Yun yung kulang sa generation nowadays. It's the mental health issue. The poor people, they don't know mental health. They just wake up, work, go home, sleep. That's it. There's no mental health. So it's a privilege to play and act in this play. It's a joy. It's a gratitude as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to call Carla. You know, a lot of questions came into our social media. Please explain what this is.
Kakapipidudu? I say that in Act 2 when I give this whole speech about art is important and what we leave. Maria Callas in particular, the sun will not fall down if there are no more traviatas. The world will go on, but what is important is we leave it richer and wiser. It should be richer and wiser had we not chosen the way of art. We have to remember what you learned here. You have to say honestly and properly. That's all I ask. Everything else is kakapipitudu.
Thank you, Ms. Okay, we will draw a line.